Hi, everybody. Welcome to PPMD's Family Fridays. I'm Ryan Fischer with PPMD. I'm excited to host today's Family Friday session in our ongoing series. This one's called Do It Your Way and End Duchenne. And we're going to have a conversation today about fundraising, really fundraising in the face of a pandemic. I'm delighted to be joined by an incredible panel of community leaders today. I think we'd all agree that COVID-19 may have changed the way we conduct events and socialize with our communities, but it certainly hasn't stopped our mission and our focus to end Duchenne. As a community, we've had to come up with creative ways to put on events, and I'm sure everyone's going through this and figuring out the best way to do things safely and responsibly. And we have some amazing guests on the Family Friday today who are community leaders themselves and Duchenne moms, and also people that organize events and have had to really navigate organizing an event during this pandemic. So with us today, we have Jen Dumm. She hosts John Owen's Adventure Picnic in the Park and has for many years. We also have Deanne Fryer, who hosts the Fryer Fight to End Duchenne golf tournament and the Grand Rapids Point 1K, and Anessa Fehsenfeld, who organizes Mitchell's Run Through Rockford. So before we get started, if you have comments, questions, anything you want to add to the conversation, you should do so by commenting directly. We'll make sure to get to those during the conversation. And we want to hear from you about your own stories, about how you may be navigating your own events. We're excited to have this group on today and to have this very timely discussion. So I'd like to just sort of go around the panel and so everyone can hear a little bit about the events that our organizers are undergoing and hear about how they're sort of pivoting and figuring out what to do during this pandemic when it comes to fundraising. So I'm going to start with Jen Dumm. Jen, perhaps if you could tell us a bit about your event, which really went virtual this year, a little history on it, and the things you've had to do with COVID-19 and the plans you had to make to change things.
Sure, great. Thank you. And thank you, Ryan and PPMD family for mostly all you do to support us. All the Duchenne families, we love you. And I think you know how much we love you guys. And we wouldn't be this strong without you guys and your leadership. So Ryan and team, thank you first and foremost. So yes, I'm Jen Dumm. We have John Owen's Adventure. We started our nonprofit in 2008 when our middle son was diagnosed when he was 4, and every year since then we've hosted a very large picnic in the park, which we have upwards of 2,000 guests that come. It's a carnival type event with kids games and food trucks and bands and lots of raffles, tons of raffles. And it's like the old school type of raffles where you got to put your name down on the silent auction and keep going back to bid. The paper raffle tickets, which the folks really love it because it's a beautiful event. It's at a park right around the corner from us with trees, and we do Nerf wars, and it's just awesome. It's a great community event that we've been so blessed by our community to have that support. So this year, going back and forth with the board, early in May, because typically we have it the second Saturday in July. From a marketing standpoint, we always want to be consistent with that message. Back in May, the state of Ohio started to open up a bit, and we were thinking, okay, I think we can do this. I think we can pull this off with social distancing, and I don't even think masks were really required at the time. I don't even remember. But the thought of not fundraising and not raising money for Parent Project literally brought me to tears. Like, we have to do this, right? So then we read through the opening guidelines that the governor put out, and literally the pivot moment came when my sister, who's also in charge of a lot of the picnic, when that came in, we have tons of kids there, and they touch all the games and the golf clubs and the balls and the, Nerf guns. And she said, Jen, I'm going to have to sanitize after every kid touches everything. And that light went off and I'm like, we can't do it. We can't put anyone at risk. I mean, we just can't. So we reached out to Ryan and team and said, help, we can't not fundraise. And they, fortunately, through the platform of One Cause, we were able to do a great virtual event. It was a week long and it was so fun. It was not as much work as the normal picnic in the park, but it was work, but it was easy work to do. So we fortunately still had enough raffles, prizes donated from our community because of course many businesses are closed and not able to donate, but we had just that right amount of mix. And we were able to host the virtual events through One Cause. And we also coupled it with YouTube videos, which were super fun. And through One Cause, we were able to text that link to our supporters and just not necessarily inundate them with tons of text, but, quick video messages to tell them what's going on and where we're at with the raffle. We also had a band do a live stream event for us on the day of our picnic that we were able to watch live, and then also had a host party that night, and everybody. We encourage people to have their German beer with them because that's the place we have is called German Central. So there's always some good German beer. So at least we had some nostalgia going that night. And it was a great success. We're probably, from a fundraising standpoint, only 20% behind last year's goals. So we're just so thrilled to have that partnership with PPMD and have them to be able to give us a platform that we couldn't afford on our own as a nonprofit through that One Cause platform. So I just encourage everyone out there, everyone can do something. You might not be able to do everything, but just that one thing this year, just to keep the message out there. So I could talk for hours, so you guys got to cut me off if I'm talking too much or if you have questions. So yeah, thank you again for letting me be here.
Fantastic. And what I like about this panel today is we have a number of different events that we're going to talk about, and different ways you all have had to sort of recalibrate. And Jen, for you, just a follow-up question, you have a very wonderful, loyal community that looks forward to this event every year. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this was very different. Have you received general feedback from the attendees, and what was the reaction during the event?
Yeah, it was very positive. And actually, Anessa joined us as well. It was really positive from the team. They were happy that we still had it. And it was cool because at the pickup the next day, we were actually finally able to see people. And it's like, people, we haven't seen people in forever. So that was cool. But yes, it was very well received. And then the folks that weren't comfortable with the virtual, they still donated. And I know it's a tough year for everyone. So, even people that, even a $10 donation, that was just incredible. How hard it is to give that money up during this time. And so we were just super grateful that we still were able to have people participate.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I think that's one of the topics we should definitely get into around, asking for donations in this time when people are losing jobs, and it's a tough, uncertain time for many people. One of the things we'll talk about as a panel is that topic. So thank you, Jen. Anessa, your event is coming in a few weeks. I'm sure you're in the throes of all of the planning right now, but perhaps give everyone a background on this event. This is actually PPMD's longest running event, but some background and then what you've had to do to pivot would be wonderful.
Yeah, sure. So I stepped in as race director of Mitchell's Run through Rockford 2 years ago. So the Petersons started Mitchell's Run not long after their youngest son, Mitch, was diagnosed with Duchenne. And their family and friends came in and wanted to support them and help them raise money that could go toward finding a treatment for Duchenne, or, improving the quality of life for all people living with Duchenne. So they started that race 22 years ago, which is pretty incredible. And they ran that race for 20 years, and they were finally ready to kind of, turn over the reins. And I was more than eager to step in and help, because this has become this incredible community event. People look forward to this race every year, and we did not want to see it go away. So it's been quite a ride for us. I've been involved as a participant for many years, and then really paid attention the past few years to understand what it was that it took to put on an event like this. So I did have 1 year under my belt where it was a normal race. And then, of course, this year with COVID, we had to do a whole bunch of pivoting and switch from a live race to a virtual race. And so that's been interesting as well. And I can speak about that now, or I can talk about that a little bit later. Ryan, let me know what you'd like me to do.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit on, at what point were you having to make the decision, and, what led to that, where you had to finally pull the trigger and say, we need to, reverse course here and do something. A plan B had to be instituted.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So we were super excited about our theme this year. It was Mitchell's Run Back to the 80s, and so excited about people getting dressed up in 80s attire and running. So I would have to say that I really had a difficult time pivoting to virtual, because I really wanted to see everybody all dressed up. But about the time that we started to announce that the race was coming up, kind of push the date out, same as Jen and her group. Like, they have specific times of the year when they start to roll out messaging as part of their marketing campaign. We realized that COVID was already kind of taking a grip in our local area. And so we knew that there was a chance it could be going virtual, because by that time school here had been moved all virtual as well. So when we launched our race, we made sure to let everybody know, hey, right now it's a live race, and we're really hopeful that it could stay a live race, but we're not sure if it's going to stay one. So, if you're registering, just know it could potentially be a virtual race, because we thought it was really important that we communicate that early on so people know what they're getting into. And when we did have to make that decision along with our local city, and of course the guidelines, we are in phase 4 here. So we can't have more than 250 people together. And we usually have 1,200 people at the starting line and another 1,000 people lining the sides. So we were well over the 250. So I met with the city of Rockford. I tried to figure out a way to keep it live. Like, maybe we could have different, fleets of people taking off every few minutes. And it became too much. We just couldn't do it. So we made the announcement about 4 weeks ago that we were going all virtual, and allowed people the opportunity to either have their packet mailed to them. And we asked them to pay an extra $5, which I didn't think was terrible. Or they can come pick up their packet. And at packet pickup, we have all kinds of fun swag for them to get, all of this 80s costume attire, and then a place for them to get their photo with their t-shirt and medal. So at least they still have an opportunity to celebrate. And then we're also asking people to take selfies after they finish their 5K and post them on social media. So I'm really hopeful people will do that as well.
That's great. I think we're all getting those creative juices flowing on what we can do during this sort of uncertain time, and a lot of new rules in place. But it sounds like you're adapting and coming up with really cool ways for people to still be involved. And others have had to do this over the course of the year with success. And one of those people is on the line. Deanne, you just had your event. And in this case, people were there. It was live. So, congratulations on that recent golf outing. Perhaps you could talk a bit about what you had to go through and how you were comfortable putting it on, and then what rules had to be put in place. A little history on the event as well would be great.
Yeah. So this golf outing is something that we have had in place for a long time, even before our sons were diagnosed with Duchenne. My husband was doing this golf tournament. He was getting together with golf buddies as a group. Then they turned it into a charity event. And then as soon as our sons, Kevin and Kyle, were diagnosed with Duchenne, it was a no-brainer that it was going to become a parent project fundraiser. So in continuing the tradition, last Saturday in July, we planned this golf outing at a golf course here. And really leading up to this, the governor was allowing events outside. Golf courses had opened through the course of spring. So we figured this was a pretty safe event to hold. We thought our numbers would be a little bit smaller this year, but lo and behold, we still filled the course, 144 golfers. So it was full, which really, we were pretty surprised, pleasantly surprised with that. And then we started to make some small changes behind the scenes, where at all the par threes, we used to have these contact events. What we did instead of doing that, we asked for donations and just made all the par threes up closest to the pin. And we had different prizes at each of those events. We put donation boxes out and had someone sitting out there and just said, hey, if you want to donate, great. We really left it open for people, knowing that, you know, times are a little bit different. If you want to donate and be a part of this event, fine. If you don't want to donate, you are still automatically involved in this closest to the pin. Now that we're looking at money and what we raised, we are not much behind, maybe $5,000 under what we typically raise for this golf outing. So people really came through and stepped up and helped with this golf outing. We did have a dinner after the golf outing, which we were kind of up to see how this goes. I think we were ready for anything. If we had to do a dinner where it was a boxed meal and people took it with them, that would be fine. The golf course was very compliant with the rules, saying, okay, you know, that you can be inside, we'll have tables outside for you. You know, we expect you to follow the rules. And then my husband sent an email out to everybody, kind of reiterating these are the expectations. I loved that PPMD had some hand sanitizer that they sent to us that we got to give out as a kind of a door prize as people came in and checked in. So that was a nice little bonus and very appropriate for the times.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I think golf tournaments are uniquely suitable for social distancing to an extent, and I'm sure that, you know, the rules that the golf folks put forward, people were compliant, right? I mean, you guys didn't have any issues with folks.
No, I mean, when you put it forward as, you know, you are here for children that have Duchenne, and these are kids that can be at risk. And we appreciate you coming, and we appreciate you following the rules for our kids. I think when it's in the right perspective, when it's put forward like that, people are more than willing to abide by what you're asking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've seen that too with other events, and I think they appreciate that, you know, we have a community that is immunocompromised, and, you know, there are special considerations that all of our families are already making. So I think many are sensitive to that and are willing to comply. But that's really great that, you know, you were able to still put it on. It's very exciting. And it sounds like people were very generous, which is PPMD so appreciates the support of your community, all your communities really coming together, and has been supporting the Duchenne community for many years. You know, I want to go around the panel now and talk about that sort of delicate balance of fundraising in, you know, during a pandemic. As I mentioned before, as everyone's well aware, there are people who are unemployed. There are businesses that have been closed down for a period of time, and businesses are often a big sponsor for a lot of our events. So maybe we start with Jen to say, you know, how did you handle some of that with your regular sponsors and new sponsors and just general donations?
Yeah, sure. Sure. So thanks for that question. And we start our marketing in January. So fortunately, prior to all of this hitting, we were able to secure several of our long-term, supporters, which was great. But I think what was really important is just to be okay with being not coming in with the high dollar expectation and being sensitive, right? Like you said, when we got closer to the event, looking at the product we had to create our raffles with and getting creative with how do we, make a raffle basket with our limited ability, because we're not about to go door to door because we know the businesses in our community have been closed. So we were able to do that successfully, and you just to be sensitive and don't be afraid to ask to participate. And like the others have said, it's a tough time, but people still want to support us, and whether they do it through their treasure or whether they do it just by being present, our community knows that we're just grateful for them just being present. So
yeah, I think that's a really great point. Anessa, how about you in terms of sponsors and just general donations? What have you experienced with this?
Yeah, so it was interesting. Our committee spent some time talking about this. We wanted to be sensitive to the fact that there were many who maybe weren't employed or weren't working at the same level that they were before. So when it came to the registration for the race, we made the decision that we were not going to go above $25 to participate, which more than covers our costs, but we knew we would be taking a hit overall. But we still wanted to encourage participation. This has been a long-running community event, and we didn't want people to feel excluded. And then, we also were very mindful of our sponsors. So we have some sponsors who have been on board for 10 plus years. Like for instance, one in particular was our local athletic club. And as we all know, the athletic clubs have been closed down and they have not been able to reopen. And we didn't want them to be excluded as a sponsor this year just because they didn't have the financial resources, because they've been an incredible community partner. Every year they pull together a group of individuals and do training prior to the run. And so we reached out to them and said, listen, we understand you might not be able to give a financial gift this year, but will you still partner with us? And can we still host a running club prior and train for the race as a way to encourage other people to participate? And they were more than happy to do that. And we're very grateful that we weren't excluding them. But, this is one of those relationships that you want to maintain, because this is not the last year we plan to have this event. I'm really hopeful that next year we're going to have a live event, and I plan to go back to not just this athletic club, but like a daycare center that was closed down that supports us every year and sends some of their employees as runners. I want them to be able to come next year as well. And I could go on about that, but we were just, trying to be sensitive to the fact that, they do so much for us. How can we in return do something to support you through COVID? So it was kind of a give and take.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and a lot of this is cultivating those relationships is so important, and showing them that you understand that they may be going through a tough time right now, but you value that relationship, and keeping communication open with them is so important as well. Deanne, how about you? Have you faced sort of difficulties with this issue of sponsors or just general asks for donations?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on what Anessa is saying, I think those people that have supported us for so long, it's important that we maintain those relationships, and, anything that they can offer, if it's a little bit of a different giving level, that's okay. We appreciate that, and we're willing to put your name out there on the golf course just because of all the help that you've done in the past. We send out a sponsor letter to everyone, participants and past sponsors, and we were very happy with the response that we got. I think people that can give will do it, and the only way to find out is by asking. So don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, that's very true. When you were putting on these events. Jen, I know you mentioned sort of new tools that we've been able to utilize partnering with you. Can you talk a bit about those new virtual tools to be able to make success?
Sure. Yeah. The One Cause platform that you guys gave us access to through Parent Project was super easy. I'm not a huge techie person, but there were definitely self-help videos and documents on there for me just to dive into that software and be able to manage the back room very easily, even to the point where, you know, we were able to, with my team, just email each other and say, okay, go in and do this, go in and change this, we got to update this, and all of us got to be very versed in it very quickly, which is good because, you know, like I said, it was new software for us and we really appreciated it. And then also working with Danielle with PPMD on identifying tools that are in the software that could help us. For instance, we were able to randomize our raffles and pull them live without having to, you know, actually have a barrel and pull out a piece of paper. So that was super cool to be able to find that technology that both PPMD and us, JOA, learned about, so to help other people. So, you know, don't be afraid of that technology. And the other caveat real quick is we did, I have participated in this past year in some other online platforms, as have other of our friends and family. And the response of the quality of this platform has been overwhelming. I mean, it really is first class. It's a beautiful platform. It's easy to use, both from a user standpoint and to manage the back room. So it's very crisp, and it really, you know, sets that message out that, hey, you know what we're doing here. You know, even though we're brand new at it.
I can jump in. I kind of nosed around on your site yesterday. I couldn't believe how wonderful it is. Oh my gosh.
Great?
The auction items that you have and the ideas, it blew me away. I was very surprised at, I guess I didn't know what to expect. Yeah, it's top notch.
Thank you. You know what? Oh, go ahead, Anessa.
Well, I was excited just because I was able to attend your event this year, right?
And you got the Disney tickets.
I know, and I got the Disney tickets. It was so great. I mean, I really appreciated the text messages that I was getting and the videos, because I felt like I was really a part of your event. So even though we were virtual, I felt like I was a part of a large group. I was a part of the fundraiser. I thought you did a fantastic job. I'm more about what you did and the software that you used.
Thank you. It was a team effort, certainly, with Parent Project. And I'm going to reveal a little secret. The pictures of all the auction items, we took them in my backyard with a white sheet, and it was like the middle of July. We're sweating our butts off, but we needed the bright sun because we don't have a photo booth to put these things in and make them look professional. So that's a good memory for my boys, because they'd be like, why are you carrying all that stuff outside, Mom? It's our raffle and we got to make it look professional.
Whatever it takes.
That's right.
It's all about making it work.
That's right.
Yeah, and you know, just for those who may be watching this back, you know, we have a number of these tools that have been described, as well as ways to just register for events, whatever kind of event. I think a big part of the sort of the experience of the person attending, if it's virtual or not, making that seamless is important, because you all know you get those emails of it's not working for me, and you're like, okay, you know, we want to make it as simple as possible. So the other part of this is we're going to learn from your own experiences and make it better going forward. But we want to give those tools to our volunteers and make the lift a little less heavy, because we know you're all working so hard and volunteering your time. And I will say this a million times, we can't thank you enough for that. We are extremely grateful for the time, energy, and the support of your community. Your villages have been amazing. So again, thank you for that. Deanne, you have another event coming up, don't you? The 0.1K. So it's coming up in November. What are you thinking about now in terms of the planning? Are you looking at plan A, plan B? What's in your head? We want to, and tell us more about the 0.1K.
Okay, so instead of it being a 5K or a 10K, this race is the length of a football field. So, I mean, the whole actual run part is fun. Everyone dresses up, but it's kind of a farce. And we've done it in different places, made it a short run. We've often partnered with breweries or bars in town, and we do it on a Saturday at noon. We have found that our partners have been more than willing to open up their facilities on a Saturday afternoon in November. We always do it the first Saturday in November, and usually have about 1,200 people that come out, participate in this very short run, and then hang out for the rest of the afternoon as long as they want. They can run and go home, or they can partake and stay and have a great time for the duration of the afternoon. We have been very fortunate with sponsors that we have race shirts, and we really do everything we can to make this as an official of a race without it being the run part. So we'll have race shirts and bibs, the racing numbers, a finish line, water station halfway through in case people get too tired at what would a half of a 0.1K be? A 0.05K. So we really make it a good time. So right along the lines of Anessa with Mitchell's Run, we need to look at, okay, if things don't change by November, then we're going to need to have a plan B. We've been really lucky the last couple of years. New Holland Brewery, which is a brewery here in craft beer, and a pretty good sized restaurant here, has partnered with us. They even crafted a Kyle style beer, which was their fundraising beer for the month of November. They've been just wonderful to work with, and we want to hopefully continue that relationship. So now we're looking at, do we do a virtual run? Do we do a run and maybe offer people to have a 0.1K with their own smaller group of people? Would New Holland continue to support us? Hopefully they will. They offered to do another round of Kyle style beer. So maybe our package pickup includes a 6-pack or something like that. So we're really, looking at all of our options. Even at the golf outing, which was the end of July, I was surprised at how many people approached me and said, "You guys are still having the 0.1K, right?" So I think the community support is there. It's going to look different, most likely, unless things really change between now and November. But I think our team is willing to do whatever it takes. I don't know if anybody mentioned this before, but it's that momentum of once you start these events and once you feel the support of the people that surround you with the love of and support, it's a big deal to keep going, not just for the community, but kind of as a family and a parent that feels pretty good to keep going.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I feel like a 0.1K, given that if you have to go virtual, people could come up with creative ways to do that 0.1K at their home. So, probably be able to adapt it.
Right.
And everyone has beer at home. So
yeah. You can run around your house a couple of times and run into your fridge, grab a beer and keep going, right?
Yeah, and because of your event, when you all first put it on, first of all, we laughed for probably like an hour because it was just creative. We do have kits on ways to take that to your own community and do a 0.1K. So it could be a good option for folks if they're thinking about something to do, and if you can't do it in person, you might be able to have families do it around the country just in their own homes, or going around the backyard like you said. So please let us know if anyone's interested, and we love what you all have put on for that, and we're fingers crossed that you all can do it in person. But if not, plan B. Everything's about plan B these days, isn't it? I promised myself I wouldn't say unprecedented at any point in this conversation because I'm tired of hearing that word. At new normal's the other one. We should have a drinking game every time someone says new normal. Okay, so for people who are, I don't want to go around the panel here. I was going to say the room, but this isn't really a room. It's sort of a virtual room. For people who are thinking about planning their first event, You know, what advice could you all give to them as they're thinking through this? You know, what are some of the things they should be thinking about for the planning purposes? And maybe we'll start with Anessa, because you're the top left of my screen, so it's going.
No, that's fine. You know, before I stepped in for Mitchell's Run, I held a premiere of a movie as a way to raise funds for PPMD. It was the whole Twilight saga. Everybody was so in love with that. So we got a midnight viewing of the show and actually had a gala event. And the reason I started with that event, though, was because that's what my community, what my group of friends and family had done before, and we were familiar with it. We knew how to put on that type of an event. So for us, it was finding, you know, who are the people that surround me and what is it that they know how to do? Or, you know, maybe what skill sets do you have around you that might be able to support you? And then I think maybe the other thing I would say is, you know, I jumped in and did something really big. Maybe start small, right? And especially with the whole COVID thing, and just kind of get your feet wet and see, you know, how does the community respond to this? Or maybe you've seen another fundraising event in your community that you know people have responded to well, and run with it that way. But I would say take kind of stock of your friend group and your own personal skill set and see what you think you might be able to do. But I would say also, you know, look around and find what resources might be available to you. You could give PPMD a call, and I know that they will run you through all of the resources that are available. I personally use Run Sign Up for our races, and when we decided to go all virtual, they added a virtual button, and so I was like, okay, we're virtual, clink. Yep. And it was as easy as that, right? It's not really that easy. I'm now putting packets together and mailing them, and you know, it's to be honest, it is work. But as a parent of a young man with Duchenne, you know, it's one of those things where it's therapy for me too, to be able to do something, because I think sometimes we feel like, you know, there's nothing we can do, but there is. And I think raising funds so that we can turn them over to PPMD, who uses them so wisely for the betterment of our families, is one of the most empowering things that we can do as a parent.
That's great. And thank you. And Jen?
I gotta get off of mute, sorry. And beautifully said, Anessa, absolutely beautifully said. I think one of the mistakes I kept making over and over when we first started fundraising was I didn't ask our son what he liked, what he would want to participate in. I just kind of assumed, oh, he'd like this, or he'd like, you know, so maybe I would suggest as parents is talk to your kids to say, you know, what kind of fun thing can we do? And then how do we turn that into a fundraising event, right? Because, you know, could it be a Fortnite, which I don't play Fortnite, and I think it's called Fortnite, and I think it's very popular, but could it be a Fortnite gaming thing? I don't know, right? So turn on to the boys, you know, and get them involved with those ideas, and get them excited about, you know, that they can help to control the uncontrollable, is what I say, right? And that's what fundraising is for us as parents, is that ability to have, like Anessa said, some control on the uncontrollable. So that's my suggestion. And reach out, ask as many of us. We're all here. All of us parents will help you. We will lift you up, and we will share. I'll share all my failures with you so you can learn from them. But ask any of us, and ask all the time, because we're here for you.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. We've got lots of tips and tricks, and we're more than willing to share our email. If you reach out to PPMD and say, hey, I'm interested in doing this kind of an event, you know, send them my way, because I would love to share what I've learned and what I know.
That's awesome. Deanne, some advice for those who maybe, and also those who have had an event before. Hopefully this conversation has given them advice about planning for their next, you know, version of that event, but advice in general for newbies and those who are in the throes of replanning.
Well, I think when I go back to thinking of when my kids were diagnosed and all of the people that asked, what can I do? I'm here for you. You know, you look back at the number of people and they want to help. This is their opportunity. It's amazing. It really doesn't matter the fundraiser. If people feel like they're helping and making a difference, people are good. People are good and they want to help. So that's been fantastic. The other thing, Parent Project, you have so many resources as far as someone who've never done a fundraiser before, for everything from beginning to end of an event to how to deal with costs of things, and what Parent Project will help guide that way. I think they can make a new fundraising person very comfortable in having their own event. And also they're available to troubleshoot, you know, right when you're in the depths of something and something happens where people are unable to register. There's such comfort in knowing that PPMD is there when you get into a pinch and they can work you through it. So it often looks very seamless because they're there to pick up if anything comes up.
Oh, thank you. I swear we didn't promote this as a commercial for PPMD's fundraising events, but you all have been so kind and generous, and you know, a big shout out to the PPMD staff for doing a lot of the back end work, but you all just make it easy. You are so easy to work with and wonderful to work with. And I think for those listening, you know, don't be intimidating by having to put on this huge, massive event. There are smaller events to do. And, you know, we had recently, Hallie Goldstein's family did a readathon. We've had dance-a-thon. So there's a lot of things we can brainstorm with you too. I mean, that's it. And starting small, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, and you take steps and whatever you're comfortable with, and something like you said, talk to your family and what they're interested. You know, John Killian's run an event was called Sam's Day for many years. Sam got older. They made it Sam's Night because he's like, I don't want to bounce. I don't want like the kid games. Like I want to party at night. So I think that's really good advice, to talk to your family, talk to your kids, talk to your community about what they might be interested in. I think everything you all delivered was incredible advice for folks, and we stand at the ready to help and guide anyone through who might be interested. So I just want to, you know, close by saying thank you to the three of you for getting on today, but for all you do, for the community, for research to really continue the momentum that was started many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And to all those out there that have done an event for not only PPMD, but other organizations, you know, anything you do, it helps our collective mission.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no matter what, you know, no parent should have a litmus test to loyalty to one organization over the other. We're in this together. There's enough tribalism out there that for this, we're in this together, and anything you're doing to move the needle, thank you, because we truly, truly appreciate it.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
with that, we will post some ideas and resources for folks who might be interested in learning more, and I might have to give them your emails, ladies.
Please do. Absolutely.
But I thank you for joining us on this Family Friday. This was an incredible discussion. I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. Stay safe, and we appreciate all you do.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Ryan. Thank you, guys. It was good to see you.
Bye, everybody.